Yeah, listen. We fucked up.
What happened? Your balls drop off?
Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use frogs, pronouns, and sentences, so let's go!
These are not my preferred pronouns. These are my pronouns. One!
What's orange?
The doctor said the baby doesn't identify as a boy or a girl.
Oh, this is the trans person that flashed prosthetic breasts at the White House Pride celebration.
Instead of using the typical mom and dad parent titles, there's actually gender-neutral and non-binary parent titles that exist. Here are some examples. Pom-pom, Zaz.
It's 1935. England. Along the Isis River, there's a women's boat race between Cambridge University and Oxford, a competition which is won by Oxford. Picking up the award is the president of the Women's Boat Club at Oxford, a 20-year-old Dillon. Born during the First World War, she lost her mother only 10 days after she was born. Only 10 years old, she would lose her father. After graduating from college, Dillon was becoming more and more comfortable in men's clothes. In 1939, she sought treatment from a certain George Foss, who had been experimenting with testosterone.
And he learned about a doctor in Bristol called George Foss, who had been experimenting with a new drug called testosterone. And
Dillon was provided with the test pills but advised to consult a psychiatrist first. A psychiatrist who ended up gossiping about Dillon's desire to become a man. And soon, the story was all over Bristol. She had to flee. Now, in a new town, the hormones are somewhat making it possible for her to pass as a male, and she eventually gets a job at a garage. During the Second World War, Dillon, on 2 separate occasions, now working as a fire watcher, she fell on her head after she passed out due to low blood sugar. While recovering from the second of these attacks, she came to the attention of one of the world's few practitioners of plastic surgery at the time, Harold Gillis, a man hailed as the father of modern plastic surgery.
Did you know that plastic surgery was invented during World War I? Harold Gillies, a doctor from New Zealand, transformed the lives of injured soldiers, pioneering a brand new medical field.
And that's when she had her breast removed. The surgeon would also provide Dillon with a doctor's note that enabled her to change her birth certificate. Dillon would officially become Lawrence Michael Dillon in 1944. Now a he, Dillon, between 1946 and 1949, he had 13 sex reassignment surgeries on him.
Gillis thought that it would be an interesting thing to do to try to create a penis through plastic surgery. Never been done before.
During that period, Dillon published a book on a study in ethics and endocrinology. The book would catch the attention of Roberto Marshall Cowell. Son to a Major General, Cowell was born in London in 1918, and in 1936 he began studying engineering. Later that year, he would also begin motor racing.
But Roberto's determined to get back into top-line driving.
By 1940, the Second World War was approaching and Cowell was commissioned as the second lieutenant. Now married to a fellow engineer, in one of the attacks, Cowell's plane was knocked out and he was captured by the German troops. Spending 5 months in confinement, with food shortage in the camp, the prisoners had to eat raw cats to survive. Life post-war was a depressing one, from separating with his wife to experiencing traumatic flashbacks on the time his plane was shot down. Cowell was dying inside. After the 1946 hit book by Dillon, Cowell was becoming more and more interested in transitioning. In 1950, Cowell met with Dillon, who at the time was a physician. Cowell would eventually be able to obtain a document stating that he was intersex, which allowed him to have a new birth certificate issued, now as Roberta Elizabeth Cowell. Now a she, Dillon together with Harold performed various reassignment surgeries in 1951. By 1954, after Picture Post picked her story, her gender reassignment broke the news in the UK.
A British race car driver and World War II fighter pilot who was also the first known person in Britain to undergo sex reassignment surgery.
Around that time, George William was also shaking up news in the US. Growing up as a frail, blonde, introverted boy who ran from fistfights, George was turned down for enlistment in the military because he was barely 5 feet tall and weighed less than 100 pounds. However, with the World War II knocking, he would be drafted in the US Army, in which he served as a military clerical officer. After serving a little more than a year, he was given a honorable discharge. Over the next year, George hopped from one failure to another, which led him to question whether his lack of male physical development could mean that he was meant to be a female.
And I think that flipped this switch in me.
George began taking estrogen. Now, intending to go under the knife, George went on a journey to Sweden for sex reassignment surgery. During his journey, he stopped in Denmark where he met a Danish specialist, Christian Hamburger.
Upon being honorably discharged, she discovered the work of a Danish doctor called Christian Hamburger, someone who would change her life forever. Dr. Hamburger was the first clinician to diagnose Christine as not being homosexual, but what was then called transsexual. He went on to perform Christine's initial surgeries in Copenhagen.
He would eventually change his name to Christine Jorgensen, with the name Christine being an honor to Christian Hamburger.
Please welcome performer lecturer Christine Jorgensen.
Thank you.
A lot of water under the bridge, and I suppose over the bridge at times.
Right.
After obtaining a permission from the Danish Minister of Justice, between 1951 to 1952, Christine underwent a couple of reassignment surgeries. However, towards the end of 1952, Christine's letter to her parents leaked to the media, reading, "Nature made a mistake which I have corrected and now I'm your daughter." On returning to US, Christine was instantly famous.
A 26-year-old ex-GI arrives home from Denmark where doctors converted him into a woman. 2 years ago, the name was George Jorgensen. Today, it's Christine.
Have you been offered a movie contract? Yes, but I haven't.
From writing books, appearing in a couple of movies, making music and tons of press coverage, Christine was engraved into the pop culture. And while US was ushering Christine as the first open trans, about 40 miles from New York was a 3-year-old boy who would change the trans conversation forever.
Bruce, always telling a lie. He's lived a lie his whole life about who he is.
I just miss Bruce. And that's gonna take a minute for me.
Born William Bruce Jenner, he would not pick track until in college. After graduating from college, Bruce married Christy Kranova, who provided most of the family income. As for Bruce, he would train during the day, 6 to 8 hours, and sell insurance at night. That training would eventually pay off because between 1973 and 1976, of the 13 decathlons Bruce participated, he only recorded 1 loss. He held records that would stand almost a decade, and in 1986 he was inducted in the Olympic Hall of Fame.
But here in Montreal, Nikolai Avalov is not the favorite. This is Bruce Jenner.
His popularity in the 80s was off the charts to a point that he was considered for the Superman role. In 1990s, his popularity would even grow bigger after he married the ex-wife of the famed Attorney Kardashian. In 2015, Jenner did an interview coming out as a trans woman.
Are you a woman?
Yes, for all intents and purposes, I am a woman.
Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Never even had a period, ain't that something?
And whatever records Caitlyn Jenner broke, Dillon Mulvaney annihilated them.
And we all just normalize women having bulges sometimes because we're coming up on bikini season, baby.
And I said, oh, no, she would be getting me pregnant. And then he said, what, do you have a vagina now?
That is a very good question.
And I said, never say never.
Oh, man.
Born in 1996, Mulvaney was a gay man.
He was a man who said he was gay.
Graduating with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Musical Theatre, between 2015 and 2020, Mulvaney played in a couple of musicals. However, with COVID approaching, everything changed.
There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
LGBT activists are claiming that the chant, "We're coming for your children," it's just misunderstood.
Transition is not just about saving lives, it's about emboldening and freeing them.
I've never been confined by whether this was in the men's section or the women's section. Like,
Chris Tyson has come out as trans. He's been taking HRT.
You are literally beating the souls of the most vulnerable of our youth, our transgender kids.
You know, he's not being a girl, he's playing a girl.
I felt very restricted by the male gender.
From garnering 1 billion views in a controversial TikTok series Days of Girlhood.
Day 1 of being a girl, and I have already cried 3 times. Day 66 being a girl, and today I'm in nature. It's day 335 of being a girl, and I want
to meeting the presidents of the United States.
Mr. President, this is my 221st day of publicly transitioning.
God love you.
Dillon seemed to be appointed the face of the trans people. On April 1st, Dillon uploaded this video.
Best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story.
Are you following this Dillon Mulvaney Bud Light situation?
What you don't know. Well, I think you know, but this is what we don't want to say. Are we fighting these people? Are we fighting the gender people? I saw them shooting at them. Are we fighting those people? Because if we're fighting them, right, or if you're fighting them, we're not good fighters because we already lost. We already lost. He's wasting his bullets. He wasted his air shooting at that commercial in those boxes.
Kid Rock, you're saying?
Yeah.
In a week, Bud Light sales dropped by 11%. In 2 weeks, that number was growing to 20%. Termed as the 26 billion disaster, Bud Light would part ways with their marketing vice president.
Bud Light marketing executive who oversaw a partnership with trans influencer Dillon Mulvaney is taking a leave of absence and will be replaced.
Well, I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do.
Only days after the Bud Light marketing disaster, Nike decided to give it a go. It is a shame to see such an iconic company go so woke.
Go woke, go broke.
But it's not only woke companies are feeling the wrath.
And they've canceled people that are more powerful than me.
If you just read the quotes from J.K. Rowling, she doesn't hate trans people.
In 2019, researcher Maya Forstater was fired after she said that trans women are not the same with people born as women. To stand up for Maya Forstater, J.K. Rowling tweeted, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real." What followed was an outburst.
For a while, but J.K. Rowling is a fucking transphobe. And she's such a fucking transphobe that, like...
So J.K. Rowling has been back on the transphobia train recently. It's just important to make sure that all women are included, and yes, that includes trans women.
Does not negate how her hateful lobbying has affected the trans community. This doesn't even touch on the harmful fat phobia. Oh, she's fat phobic now too, I hadn't heard about that. Racism and valorization of supremacists and child abusers in her most famous work. The video ends with a message, "Your love of Harry Potter is not more important than the lives of trans men."
J.K. Rowling, both through the words she says and direct financial contributions, is signal boosting and enabling multiple groups and individuals who are actively pushing for the stripping away and restricting of rights of trans people, especially in the UK right now. And it's working.
This has caused a massive backlash where she wasn't invited to the Harry Potter reunion on HBO Max. It's called out by many cast members, including Luna Lovegood actress Ivana Lynch.
And all this confusion stems from one question.
The world's most controversial question, bizarrely, has become...
What exactly is a woman?
I'd like you to explain, what, in your definition, what a woman is.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Define woman. Go, please. One of you.
What is the definition of a woman?
Woman.
Can I have the definition, please? Right?
The thing is, a woman is... a woman is
the kind of human being whose body is organized according to the potential to gestate life.
Why do you think that reproduction is the most important trait that a woman can have?
You can say that you're a boy, but you identify as a girl. Yeah, that's gender dysphoria is a real thing.
I am going to spend the next minute screaming. That is what the trans genocide in this country, in this city, has brought me to.